I'd like to call the June 15th, 2026 Housing Authority regular meeting to order. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting as noted on the city's website and as noted on the agenda. As a matter of housekeeping, I'd like to remind commissioners to keep their microphones muted unless they are speaking. Clerk, can you please explain how public comments will be heard at today's meeting?
After each agenda item, the chair will ask for Housing Authority Commissioner comments and then will open the item for public comment. Once the chair calls for public comment, please go to the closest podium in the upper tier of chambers. The clerk will unmute your microphone and start the timer. Speakers will be allowed to speak one time per item up to 3 minutes. Additionally, there's one public comment period to speak on non-agenda matters, item 6. To address the Housing Authority, you are requested to complete a speaker card and give it to the recording secretary. Would you like to move on to item 2?
Clerk, have we been notified of any commissioners who have requested to participate remotely under the Just Cause provision of the Brown Act?
We have Commissioner Downey was scheduled to participate remotely as an accommodation approved by the city clerk. Commissioner Downey is not yet in the Zoom meeting, though he may appear later. He will be participating in the same capacity as if he were present in the chamber. A vote of the Housing Authority is not required for his remote participation, and it does not trigger the requirements to take public comment via Zoom. If and when Commissioner Downey arrives, we will ask him to state for the record whether or not anyone over the age of 18 is in the room with him and his general relationship to those people.
Roll call. Before I ask the clerk to do a roll call for attendance to assist with streaming the meeting and capturing commissioners as they are speaking, I want to continue to remind commissioners to please ask the chair to be recognized before asking a question or making a comment. This will allow time for the cameras to shift to a new speaker. Can you do a roll call now?
Absolutely, and forgive me for any mistakes with pronunciation. Commissioner Fearon.
Present.
Commissioner Wimmer.
Here.
Commissioner Conti.
Here.
Vice Chair Capio.
Here.
And Chair Smith.
Here.
Let the record reflect that all commissioners are present with the exceptions of Commissioners Downey and Owen.
We'll move on to the next item, statements of abstention. Are there any commissioners that have any statements of abstention? There are none. We'll move on to the next item, study session. Please note there's no study session items on the agenda, no need for public comment. And number 6, public comments. Comments from the public will be allowed on all agenda items at the time each item is called. This is the time when a person may address the Housing Authority on matters not listed on the agenda, but which are within the subject jurisdiction of the Housing Authority. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes. To address the Housing Authority, you are requested to complete an orange speaker card and give it to the recording secretary.
All right, we are now taking public comments on item 6, non-agenda items. This is the time when any person may comment on matters not listed on this agenda, but which are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Housing Authority. If you wish to make comment, please go to one of the podiums in the upper tier of chambers. You'll have 3 minutes, and a countdown timer will alert you at the end of that period. Please state your name for the record if you choose to do so.
I'm here. You ready? Waiting for the minutes. Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. Janice Carmen here, and I'm calling with an issue that is, or I'm bringing up an issue today that's current and is related to the Housing Authority. And that is that occasionally they notify the residents that they're going to be coming in to check. And I don't know what they check, but it's probably a good idea they do it periodically. But I have knowledge of a person that was supposed to have the apartment checked. These are elderly people over 55. And the people that came in, two fellas came in, said they were the management, and they pulled the monitor out of the ceiling for, I'm not sure what it's for, whether it's carbon monoxide or for fire, and it's hanging out with the wires and things exposed. And it's been in this condition for at least 10 days. Nobody came back to put it back in the ceiling. And I personally have concerns about this kind of activity happening and not being completed as it should be for the safety of the residents. Many of the residents have health issues, have difficulty navigating, need walkers, wheelchairs, etc. Other people have difficulty hearing, and if they miss the alarm or they don't have it and hear their monitors pulled out of the ceiling, hanging by wires, it's a critical situation. And this is a housing authority responsibility. And I would just like to call everyone's attention to it and have whoever the people are that supervise these people tell them to do the job and do it correctly and get these people safe and well taken care of. Thank you.
Okay, I see the 3 minutes. My name is David Harris, and I have spoken here before. There are no yellow cards up here, so I gave a business card. I just want to raise the question of project-based vouchers. Traditionally, they were a good source of funding. It was future cash flow that would come from HUD that you could borrow against. Didn't have to wait to sell tax credit bonds. And I don't know what state they're in, but I would like to ask the question of whether, or make the suggestion that this board have a subcommittee do some investigation, try and find out whether other jurisdictions, other local housing authorities are having any success in using project-based vouchers, because it becomes a source of funding that can complement your other sources. Thank you, that's my comment.
I'd like to comment also. Hello, my name is Dwayne DeWitt. I'm from Roseland. The city is currently involved in an information gathering effort, which they call, "What are your priorities?" And they've sent out some flyers and they talk about things that the city could help with. And tomorrow, the city's actually talking about their economic development strategy for the downtown area. I would like for you folks at the Housing Authority to emphasize to them that one of the main components of a strong economic development strategy is a good housing strategy, and to include housing for people of all income brackets. You probably weren't around here 60 years ago when they were setting up the Housing Authority, because we had a dearth of affordable rental residential housing available. So they set up a housing authority and said, we're going to work with this, which has now been going on for over 60 years. And at the time, 61 years ago, some of the public policy makers thought, well, you know, we'll make downtown better by tearing it apart. And they went over here and destroyed housing that was just over here to the south and west of town. And Occidental Hotel, a place where lots of elderly lived. So when they tore that down, they had to help put up the Bethlehem Towers over here, which is full, and the Silvercrest buildings, which came in with the Salvation Army, which are full. So many more tall buildings could come into the downtown area, and they could be on city-owned land. They could do it right now at the parking lots. They don't have to tear any of their existing administrative buildings apart. One of the things that's really important is we begin to understand that people who live downtown are your economic driver for the businesses downtown, not the people who are going to drive in. Many folks don't come to downtown Santa Rosa because they're wary of getting a ticket, which creates difficulties for many. So I'll just get back to the main theme here. City owns some properties. The 3rd Street old White House parking lot, as it was called, has had studies done for years. And that could be a site where you could have mixed use, multi-story, multi-family housing with the ground floor, business-oriented, economic stuff, and then people living above it. We could get started right away. Go, city, go, build up. All righty, thank you.
I don't see any more public comment.
Item 8, Chairman Commissioner reports. There are none. So we'll move on to,
Chair Smith,
yes.
can we go back to 7, which is approval of minutes, please?
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you. Okay, approval of minutes. This is item 7. Any commissioners want to make any amendments to the minutes? There are none. And any public comments on the minutes?
We're now taking public comments on item 7.1. If you wish to comment, please go to one of the podiums in the upper tier of chambers. You will have 3 minutes, and a countdown timer will alert you at the end of that period. Please state your name for the record if you choose to do so.
Sure.
I'm seeing no public comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 8, Chairman Commissioner reports. There are none. So we'll go on to item number 9, committee reports. I'd like to ask any of the ad hoc committee members for HUD-VASH and NOFA if they have anything to report on.
I have a question about the minutes. Do we have to approve the minutes? No. Just accept them. Okay. Then, yeah, moving on. In terms of that VASH ad hoc committee, I'd like to report that we are meeting twice a month to review veterans housing voucher programs in preparation for a formal report of the program's progress and whether there are areas for improvement. We are just beginning closed-door interviews with community stakeholders tomorrow, June 16th, and may have more information on these findings in future Housing Authority Commissioner meetings. We expect these interviews to continue for the next 3 months. That's all I have to report on that.
Okay, Commissioner Farron.
Get this on. Middle one. There, good. Just a question, Megan, I'm on the NOFA committee and I have no idea when it might meet, and I'm trying to set my schedule for the year. Do you have any idea as to when that might become active?
The NOFA just closed on Friday, June 5th, so we are in the process of doing the initial review of applications. I will have our staff liaison, Rebecca Lane, reach out to the committee members shortly to put some potential dates on your calendars.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other commissioners? Okay. We can go on to public comment for item number 9.
We're now taking public comments on item 9. If you wish to make a comment, please go to one of the podiums in the upper tier of chambers. You'll have 3 minutes, and a countdown timer will alert you at the end of that period. Please state your name for the record if you choose to do so.
Yes, sir. My name is Dwayne DeWitt. I'm from Roseland. Based on what was just said about the ad hoc subcommittee for the HUD-VASH vouchers, I wanted to let you know that Sonoma County has a Veterans Council, and the leader of the current, I guess you'd call them the cadre of the Veterans Council, has asked me to participate in any governmental jurisdictional agency meetings involving housing for veterans that I might be able to. He was especially interested in finding ways to be helpful to the homeless veteran community. We feel that the current wars that are going on may lead to more homeless veterans in the future. We would definitely like to have the opportunity to perhaps get some sort of report written up that comes to you folks from the ad hoc on the HUD-VASH voucher situation that can be distributed to all of the veteran service organizations so they may better understand how to be helpful in a complementary manner to the activities that occur through all the jurisdictional agencies to help veterans. Thank you kindly.
I'm seeing no more public comment.
We'll move on to item number 10, Executive Director Reports, pending development pipeline by Megan Bassinger.
Thank you, Chair Smith and members of the Housing Authority. So attached to this month's agenda is our monthly pipeline update. As you'll see, we have a couple of changes which are denoted in red. The first being projects completed within the last 24 months. Casa Roseland, which is Mid-Penn's development in the Roseland neighborhood, has been completed and is leasing up. You may note that similar to projects we've seen recently, the Housing Authority has a density bonus of 28 units in this project out of the 75. The entire project is affordable, but since we did not provide financing, we are only reflecting those units that are under our density bonus agreement. Then if we look down to units that are funded and under construction, there are several market rate projects that have affordable units set aside, and those are beginning construction. So we're happy to see that. And then finally, on the second page, category awaiting funding or permits, you'll note that number 2, Ponderosa Village, is fully funded and is permit ready. So we're excited to see that project break ground. That is a project that the Housing Authority has provided financial assistance to. It is on Roseland Avenue and will provide additional affordable housing units. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about the pipeline.
Any commissioners have any questions? The only comment I have is on the Ponderosa that's fully funded, ready to go. This is great because it's 49 out of 50 units are affordable units, and we haven't seen something like that in a little while, so that's great news.
And Chair Smith, I'd just like to note that one other unit is the on-site manager's unit, so that's not restricted, but essentially it's a 100% affordable project.
Commissioner Ferron.
Yeah, just a quick question. Full disclosure, I wanted to buy that property a long time ago. And at the time, there was a whole lot of toxic waste, a whole lot of petroleum, and so I'm hoping they've resolved that. It was about 5 years ago when we were very aware of the limitations of that damage.
Commissioner Ferron, unfortunately, off the top of my head, I don't know the environmental remediation that's been done on site, but we could certainly get back to you on that.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other commissioners have any questions? Okay. Thank you.
All right, and then we have one more item under the Executive Director's Report. As is our custom, in July of each month, we update the Housing Authority fee schedule and provide that to you for your information. So attached is a memo and a list of fees that are charged to various properties and projects for services that we provide. So examples of that would be if we have single-family units that have loans on them and they need to subordinate. So if they're getting a new first mortgage, we would charge a small fee for review of the documents and recordation of our subordination agreement. We also have fees for our loans and document processing. And then where we are allowed by state law, we charge monitoring fees for affordable housing units. So this is providing the annual update to those fees. And once we collect those do help fund our staff. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Conte, sorry.
Do these fees fully cover the staff and administration costs?
No, they do not.
So are they subsidized by other housing authority resources?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Also, have you had any feedback from nonprofits and affordable housing developers on these fees that might be creating barriers to development?
We have not received comments along those lines. We've had these fees in place for quite a while, I'd say in excess of 15 years. And this is just a small CPI-related increase that we do annually. When we are completing transactions for projects that receive tax credits and bonds, our fees are a very, very minuscule portion of the fees that are charged to those projects at closing.
So people seem to be okay with them even under our current sort of environment.
Yes.
Okay. See some heads there saying, yeah. Have we looked into how these fees compare with similar housing authorities and locally specifically? I'm just curious.
I don't think we've compared them to what is being charged by the Sonoma County Housing Authority or Marin County.
Okay. I guess if we're not hearing complaints, they must be fairly comparable. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Vice Chair.
I just had a quick clarification. A lot of these activities are legally related. Does a city attorney have a separate fee schedule for it, or is this the entire
This is
charge?
the entire, correct. The city attorney's office does not charge fees, and those are time and expense related to our transactions.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Just curious, how much money was brought in under the fee schedule this past year? Any idea?
I do know that we're at around $260,000 this year, and we still have, that's the last time I checked it, so we'll have a little bit more than that, and we'll do the unaudited financial report, and you'll see that. It's its own revenue category in probably August.
Thank you. Any public comments?
We're now taking public comments on item 10. If you wish to make a comment, please go to one of the podiums in the upper tier of chambers. You will have 3 minutes, and a countdown timer will alert you at the end of that period. Please state your name for the record if you choose to do so.
Hello, my name is Dwayne DeWitt. I'm from Roseland. I'm also one of the founding members of the Sonoma County Housing Advocacy Group, and also a group known as Citizens Cleanup Coalition, which started in '95 along Sebastopol Road, because the junkyards were contributing to the stormwater pollution that was happening going out to the Laguna and for the aquifer. This went on for a number of years. It was a joint organization with city and county staff along with community members to point out that the junkyard sites were known as brownfields and that those brownfields were problematic even then. Now they're being redeveloped into housing. And it's really important that you look into the statement that Mr. Farron pointed out for this site at what was once known as the Redwood Petroleum Distribution Site on Roseland Avenue, highly polluted area. One of the things that goes along with these types of pollutants is what are known as vapor intrusion. And when you build above a former junkyard, such as Foucher's junkyard on Dutton Avenue, Acme Junkyard on Sebastopol Road, you're going to have these types of concerns even when somebody tells you, oh, we cleared it all up. It really needs to be looked in deeper than you might think. The reason why is because tenants can then sue if they find that they believe there are pollutants coming up from under the foundations of their buildings. This may seem a little bit technical, but it's really important. We want to rebuild on all the brownfields we can, such as over here at the rail yard downtown. These different brownfields can be excellent sites for housing, but you have to protect yourself to make sure that these are not sites that continue to pollute with vapor intrusion or with stormwater pollution that can then spread to other spots. So I was really concerned because here in the current pipeline, today's agenda doesn't have a listing of that anymore. In the past, they would have a listing and show you what's in the pipeline, you know who's going where and what's happening. So we really need to work together on this with the community. The Citizens Cleanup Coalition still exists. Their executive director goes to the brownfields meetings at the national level, the US EPA. The next one's in Salt Lake City, Utah. I would recommend that you folks send staff to that next one and double check on this stuff, because there's housing getting approved on the junkyards along Sebastopol Road, and your funding's gonna be involved, which may mean that somehow down the road, vicarious liability may come your way. This is one of the things to protect yourself from. Thank you kindly.
I'm seeing no more public comment.
Item number 11, consent items. There are no consent items on this agenda. We'll go on to item 12, report items by Kate Goldfein.
Good afternoon, Housing Authority Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. I am Kate Goldfein, Administrative Services Officer for Housing and Community Services, here presenting for your adoption the final fiscal year 26-27 budget. All right, this slide shows the funding sources and expenditures for the total housing authority at the highest level. This year you have funding of $57.7 million. And expenditures of $57.2 million, which is just about a 1% increase over the prior year. So we reviewed the budget in great detail at the April 27th Housing Authority meeting, so I'm just going to touch on the changes that have occurred since then. No changes to the administrative budget, but I did want to clarify the full-time equivalent staff budgeted to that division. I forgot 10%, 0.1 of a communications coordinator that has charged in for 8 years. I just forgot to reflect it on the first attachment, and now it is correctly reflected at 0.8 full-time equivalent staff in that division. The rental housing assistance budget per unit admin allowance rate for 2026 was announced by HUD in May and increased 4% over the prior year. This equates to $140,000 of federal grant revenue between the Housing Choice Voucher and Emergency Housing Voucher programs. This was added to federal grant revenue on the revenue side and added to services and supplies for each of those programs. And there were no changes to the Housing Trust budget since April. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we can proceed with budget adoption.
Any commissioners? Commissioner Farron?
Yeah, thank you very much for the report. You can't look at it and not go, whoa, we're going to have some cuts. Especially, I mean, the red lines on the third column indicate where the cuts are, and I guess it's, from my point of view, it's consistent with what we've all been hearing about federal funding, about state funding, about the kind of future to try to do permanent housing and development, especially. When you couple this budget's insight and the Homeless Coalition's budget, which, as you probably know, also says, okay, we're not having any more permanent housing for low-income people in general. They're all moving to transitional housing. We're having some cutbacks in some of the money that we use to do permanent housing. It doesn't look like a good next year, at least. And I guess I just wanted to make that comment. We're going to be trying you and your staff to do your best to keep developers optimistic, to keep the kinds of money that they get to backfill or to partner with our money. I noticed on one of the scoring sheets that we had in one of the past meetings that we were still counting on people taking a little bit of our money and putting it with a lot of everybody else's money. I guess my comment is, I don't think there's going to be a lot of everybody else's money. I think we're going to be a bigger partner for a lot of the projects that we do. And until we can turn it around and try to make housing mandatory or much more of a priority, you're going to be doing a lot more with a lot less. And I appreciate that.
Any other commissions? Commissioner Capio?
So correct me if I'm wrong, but our affirmative action on this will be going up to the council in the next few weeks, and we're not expecting any surprises. Is that right?
Tomorrow, yeah,
Oh,
it goes to
tomorrow.
council tomorrow.
it's
I
very
should have said
timely.
that. I apologize. It goes to council tomorrow, and the council generally does not change. I remember the Housing Authority's budget never being changed by
I
the
think we
council.
know by now. Okay.
Yeah,
this was-
exactly.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think last month we mentioned about what the status of more affordable housing money is from the state and bringing some people in, some of our local representatives to give us an idea. I mean, we have good amount of projects ready to go, just needing money, and that would be wonderful to move those forward.
That was a suggestion that was made at the last meeting. I think if we were to invite representatives to our meeting, we would need to work with the city manager's office and our communications department to make sure that any efforts that are happening by this board are supported by the city council and by the city manager. But we certainly do advocate at the staff level to our state and federal partners to fund the programs that will benefit projects in our community. So that is continually happening throughout the appropriate channels.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. All right. So we're going on to the 12.1, the recommendation we adopt the proposed budget. Okay. First of all, are there any public comments?
We're now taking public comments on item 12.1. If you wish to make a comment, please go to one of the podiums in the upper tier of chambers. You will have 3 minutes, and a countdown timer will alert you at the end of that period. Please state your name for the record if you choose to do so. I'm seeing no one rising. Looks like we have no public comment.
Okay. Would any of the Housing Authority Commissioners like to motion regarding the resolution for item 12.1?
If no one else is queued up to make that motion, I'd move the adoption of our resolution to approve the fiscal year 2026 Housing Authority budget and waive the reading and text.
I'll second.
Commissioner Fearon?
Here, and yes.
Commissioner Wimmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Conti?
Aye.
Vice Chair Capio?
Aye.
And Chair Smith?
Aye.
Let the record reflect that the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to go now on to item 12.2 with Rebecca Lane.
Good afternoon, Chair Smith and Vice Chair Capio and Commissioners. My name is Rebecca Lane, and I'm a program specialist with Housing and Community Services. And I'm pleased to be here this afternoon to present to you an acknowledgement of project completion for Burbank Avenue Apartments. Okay. Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. So by way of background, Burbank Avenue Apartments is the fifth and final development that has been completed in Santa Rosa using the Department of Housing and Urban Development Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program funds from the wildfires that we experienced in 2017. So the CDBG DR funds were a special allotment of funds. It was over $38 million that came through to the city of Santa Rosa from HUD through the State Department of Housing and Community Development, or HCD. The administration of the CDBG DR funds that the city of Santa Rosa received was delegated to the Housing Authority, and the Housing Authority made awards of funding for 5 projects in January of 2021. Burbank Avenue Apartments, which is the final project of those 5 that is now completed, received $5 million from the CDBG DR funds. The project also received, the Housing Authority commissioners may recall, funding from the Housing Authority, including local funds, PLHA, which is another HCD funding source called the Permanent Local Housing Allocation Program. They received home funds as well as some of our standard CDBG funding, as well as 16 project-based vouchers. So Burbank Avenue Apartments commenced construction in January of 2024 and completed construction in August of 2025. And we expect that if it is not fully leased already today, it will be by the end of this month. The project has 63 units targeted to households with incomes between 20 and 60% of area median income and 1 unrestricted manager's unit. The project, or the program, the CDBG DR program requirements mandate that the Housing Authority acknowledge completion through a formal resolution of the project in order to finish the project and close out the final payment to the project. And that is what we are achieving through this action. So the Housing and Community Services Department recommends that the Housing Authority, by resolution, acknowledge completion of the Burbank Avenue Apartments project under the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program administered by the California Department of Housing and Community Development. And I am happy to answer any questions about this item. And just so you are aware, we also have a representative of the project in the audience today, Mike Rogers, representing Burbank Housing.
Commissioner Conte.
Yeah, this is great, because doesn't this like close out the wildfire recovery housing? Yeah, correct. Yeah. I really appreciate the excellent affordability mix on this one. That is really well done. Also, the 55-year affordability restrictions, I like that. And also the 16 project-based vouchers. Over time, it comes up to 16. So really well put together project. I do have 2 quick questions. Do we know how many households that were displaced by the 2017 fires have actually benefited from this project?
I don't know that information off the top of my head, but if Mr. Rogers has that information, he can address it after.
Okay. And is it fully leased?
It should be by the end of this month. That's what we are expecting. There was, as of the end of last week, I believe we were finalizing the last 2 move-ins.
Okay, so there hasn't been any stall in getting people in there? Okay, okay, great, thank you, that was it.
Any other commissioners? Okay, we have none.
We're now taking,
Oh, we have to wait. We have public comments now.
we're now taking public comments on item 12.2. If you wish to make a comment, please go to one of the podiums in the upper tier of chambers. You will have 3 minutes, and a countdown timer will alert you at the end of that period. Please state your name for the record if you choose to do so.
Hello, my name is Dwayne DeWitt. I'm from Roseland, and I'm from the Burbank Avenue neighborhood, actually. I know the area well. I'm glad that something's come forward, though this was a project that a lot of people did not welcome because it was on land that was promised to the community by one former city employee saying we were going to have a community park and that the Skellinger Brother land was going to be a part of it. We got bamboozled. We were told that that name Community Park would mean certain things, and now we only have a certain amount of acreage, but it requires a lot of parking spaces because of the name Community Park that came from the promise that we'd have 40 acres due to the Skellinger Brothers property being a part of it. That's all water under the bridge now, so let's just talk about, did anybody from Roseland get to move into these places? Also, the 16 project-based vouchers, were any of them given to veterans? Were any veterans allowed to move in there? We were hoping some HUD-VASH veterans might get in there. We know that you can't divulge any priority private information from the clients, but you give us basic numbers. You can tell if anybody's from Roseland in that place or do they all come from out of the area. Because I've been talking to some of them who walk in our neighborhood, and they tell me they came up from different places, not even from Santa Rosa. So that's the nature of no priorities given, but at the same time, when these types of housing projects go forward, the people who are already living in a disadvantaged, underserved, overburdened area with not enough housing should have people from that neighborhood living in those units instead of people coming from the East Bay or from the peninsula, San Francisco, things of that nature. So I'll just leave you with this. There's a guy down the street on Burbank who's been homeless for a number of years. He had a HUD-VASH voucher once. The unit was found to be in violation of a 1-inch window egress. So they did not rent the unit to him, and then they red tagged the building and evicted all the people that lived in it, and those people have had a hard time finding housing, and this man never got housing. Still homeless, down on Burbank Avenue in a field, and he's a Air Force veteran, good guy, just isn't getting a place to live with any of this help. So please help the veterans of the United States military, especially as we go to more wars. Thank you kindly.
I'm seeing no more public comment.
Would any of the Housing Authority commissioners like to motion regarding the resolution for item 12.2? Commissioner Ferron.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. First, I want to acknowledge Dwayne DeWitt because I know how hard you'd work for a lot of years, both on behalf of that veteran and on behalf of that property. We do the best we can. Okay, I'd like to approve the acknowledgement by the Housing Authority of the project's completion and for the Burbank Avenue apartments, and direct the staff or authorize the staff to transmit whatever documents are necessary to HCD or anyone else to certify that completion and waive the reading of the text.
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Conte seconds. Can we have a vote, please? Thank you.
Commissioner Fearon,
Yes.
Commissioner Wimmer,
Yeah.
Commissioner Conti,
Yes.
Vice Chair Capio,
Aye.
and Chair Smith.
Yes.
Please let the record reflect that the motion passes unanimously.